Episode. Hey everybody, Sam Dennehy, aka Half-Ass Customs. This episode is the long-awaited for Rapido interview. Speaking with Jonathan from Rapido, we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of hopefully upcoming projects they're doing, vehicles that they're coming out with, and existing vehicles, and why they choose what they choose, and just trying to get information on their product and everything else that the viewers were asking for. So without further ado, let's talk with Jonathan and see what he's all about inside the company of Rapido. Hey everybody out there, Sam Dennehy, aka Half-Ass Customs, and this Half-Ass Presents a podcast. Like I said in the monologue, long awaited for product review, company review, big interview. Jonathan Smith from Rapido is on the show. Jonathan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the business you're in with Rapido?
Well, so I'm both kind of a train guy and a car guy. So going way back, I started in trains way back in, 92, 93. I was probably about 9 or 10 years old.
Nice.
But I've always I've collected cars since probably before then, actually. I was into cars before I was into trains. I worked in a model train store for many, many years, George's Trains here in Toronto. I worked in a hospital for a while, and then after about 10 years of that, I got invited to come work at Rapido. At the time, we were just doing, this is back about 5.5 years ago now. At the time, we were just doing train stuff. We started getting into vehicles, I guess, with the fishbowl buses, the GMC New Looks, back in 2016. And it's always been a dream of mine to actually make cars and trucks, like 187 vehicles. So Jason actually was he really wanted the bus himself. So we did that one. And then in the last year, I finally kind of sold him on doing more just everyday vehicles. So we've got our first one, which is the Caprices and the Impalas. And that's kind of where we're at right now. It's really exciting, and it's the beginning of a whole line of vehicles if I can keep that going.
That's awesome. I hope and everybody else watching hopes that you guys do too, because your product is it's very well made. I'm not going to bash it and say it's strictly made as a toy, but it's made strong enough like a toy to last forever. You can get a plastic model and you drop it the right way and it's all going to break, fall apart, and be crushed. But one of your vehicles, it's, like I said, I'm not trying to bash it and say it's a toy, but it's built strong enough to be like a toy and last forever. And your kids can play with it, to adults, and it stays the test of time because it's built very well.
Yep, for sure.
So one of the big questions is the Impalas from the 80s. What made you guys think of that time period and that type of vehicle to start off with?
Well, first off, kind of looking at the industry in general, typically we see a lot of muscle cars, tons of European vehicles. That's really what a lot of the industry is. If you see a lot of what Herc was putting out in Bush and all those companies, you've got a ton of pretty much anything that's available in Europe, Volkswagens, anything like that, you've got them. Here in North America, typically we've got Corvettes, Trans Ams, Camaros. That's what a lot of the manufacturers seem to think, especially the ones overseas. I think that's what everyone drives here.
That is what they think.
Exactly. But there's a lack of just vehicles that anybody would have been driving in the 80s. For one thing, like I'm a big fan of 70s and 80s cars myself. And the Boss, his model railroad layout is based in 1980 Southern Ontario. So it kind of fit it all together. But I really wanted something that was just kind of a line of vehicles that you would see everywhere. And so we've
Right, right.
done that and we're making lots of different variations on that theme.
That's pretty awesome. I know there's quite a few 80s, 70s and 80s fans that built that time period in model railroading alone, and
Oh
there
yeah.
has been quite a lack of vehicles to choose from that time period for sure.
There's definitely a big lack of that kind of thing. So
Yeah, and it's really cool that you guys are starting to produce that stuff, because I know most of us, and I'm not a huge 80s vehicle guy, but even those have potential to make nicer, better, or you just need a starting base, and you're providing that.
exactly.
If you want to customize it or just leave it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool that you guys are doing that. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I had on my computer here a whole bunch of questions, and I'm trying to find those questions.
No, it's all
I
right.
don't understand where they went. Um,
You can pull them right off the Facebook group probably.
that's actually where I'm at. I'm on Facebook trying to find the responses from everybody's post. I do know for a fact they're asking, do you plan on in the future to have other brands, Fords, Mopars, or anything in that limelight?
Definitely. So GM was kind of the starting point. We made a contact through them several years ago when we were originally researching the bus project. So we knew who we needed to talk to, and we've been setting that up. It took a little while. It took several months of kind of going back and forth and setting up agreements and all that. It's a lot of behind the scenes work, but
Oh yeah,
we got the GM thing set up, and that was kind of a test of how this would all work. We've already reached out to other manufacturers for our car brands for licensing. So that's something we definitely are working on. Just in the very early stages, but we do anticipate this is going to be a line of vehicles, and it could be from any manufacturer, any brand. It's really could go anywhere. So we're just kind of having fun with this right now, getting our feet wet, and then we'll see where it goes.
that's awesome. Okay, I found that thread, so that's good. What I want to know, specifically, because I'm a huge car nut.
Mm-hmm.
When you guys go further, uh, are you gonna kind of try to stick with classics, like from 1900s, say, on up to the 80s to start off with when you branch out more, or are you gonna go pushing more for present vehicles, I guess, for your next round of lineup cars? Or can you say?
For sure. Without getting into specifics, there's two vehicles we're looking at developing with we approached a different manufacturer, not GM, to do two more vehicles. Both of them kind of are from the 70s, but they have a much kind of broader timeline than that. So
Nice.
yeah, so it's something we're looking at kind of for the next project, but that doesn't mean we're going to stick to like 70s, 80s. I mean, if we see the demand is there, and especially if the sales are really good on the first release of the Caprices and Impalas, we might do something modern. We could do something older. Really the big thing is just getting a variety of different vehicles from different brands and seeing how
Right.
they do. Right now, in
That's
particular
cool.
for the model railroaders, a lot of them are. It seems to be the 70s and 80s is really the big thing right now. We've seen a little bit of a drop off in kind of in railroading terms, the transition era, 40s, 50s era, but which is still a very strong market. But right now, it's really the 70s and 80s seem to be really exploding.
It's probably because you can find 40s and 50s almost anywhere on
Mm-hmm.
eBay or the internet, thanks to like Fresh Cherries or Malibu pushing out those cheap, affordable, not cheap in quality, but just cheap, affordable cars
Yeah.
by the thousands. I mean, you can pick them up anywhere, and they are everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably, yeah, why there's a drop off in that time period, and in a much needed need with the time period you guys are trying to push right now.
Absolutely, and there seems to be there's a huge variety of kind of 50s vehicles out there.
Oh yeah,
It's been that more kind of slightly more modern market that's really been ignored by some of the other manufacturers. We've seen some nice models in the past, but it's been a bit of a dry spell the last several years. So.
Right. Especially, I would say, especially with like complete modern, say the last 20 years, or even say the last 30 years, you go from like 90 and present, there's a big drop off in that, unless you're going with the European market. And then most of those are supercars and hypercars and whatnot that they're building a lot of, but they're not building like regular passenger vehicles.
Yeah. And you see that on a lot of layouts, a lot of model train layouts. You see beautiful layouts, and everybody's driving Corvettes and
yeah, right,
stuff like that. It's like that's not how it really works. And it's cool, but still.
Yeah, it's a definitely a West Coast, Southern California train layout that you think everybody has. I mean, you get that Corvette with the American flag painted on it, and you're like, nobody drives this. Nobody in the world.
I think Burkina's done a few different versions of that.
Yeah. That's only those cars are probably only good for the European market to represent another country, because America in Southern California, nobody's driving a car with a painted flag on it.
No.
But that's cool. I did find that thread. Some people are asking about commercial vehicles. Are you planning on any commercial sized vehicles in the future? I'm guessing they're probably talking about like diesel trucks or like snow plows or anything commercial related.
We have
like passenger cars turned into commercial cars, I guess.
Mm-hmm. We do have some stuff we'd like to do. In HO scale already, we've announced a couple of different Fruhoff 35 and 40-foot trailers. We'd like to maybe make some tractors or something along those lines. There's a lot of possibility, even with just smaller vehicles, commercial vehicles, vans, stuff like that. There's a lot of possibility for some really good sellers in that kind of category. So it's definitely something we're looking at.
I can tell you, when I joined this scale hobby, I was a 125th scale model car builder for 25 years. Mm-hmm. And when I joined this scale hobby, the passenger vehicle side of this hobby was almost nothing. It was all commercial vehicles, big rig trucks, heavy haulers, cranes, and everything commercial related, like bulldozers and all kinds of stuff you can imagine. That's what people were hovering around. And that's not me. I'm a passenger vehicle guy. I love customizing, everyday cars you see everywhere.
Same here.
And something affordable. I couldn't afford to buy myself a diesel truck and then customize it, but you can get yourself a classic car and customize it, and it'd be way cheaper than a brand new diesel truck.
Exactly.
So I was looking for the affordable, realistic thing in small scale, and it seemed like that was a definite thing that just was missed in this scale. So it's cool that you guys are starting out and starting to make those, and you're starting with a pretty good a decade really for vehicles. I mean, that is lacking, so there's definitely a need for that. Are you planning on, I guess this kind of falls into the commercial vehicle, are you planning on building any fire fire? Yeah.
Maybe one day, not something in the short term, but that's, again, it's another area that has a lot of kind of possibilities. There's definitely a lack of fire vehicles just in general.
Right.
Fire vehicles, ambulances. We do have there's actually a fairly good selection of some more modern police vehicles, but just emergency vehicles in general, especially fire trucks, there's just a lack of that. A few models here and there. I mean, Bush had the with the LaFrance pumpers and the hook and ladder.
Right.
Yeah, which that tooling has got to be 25 or 30 years old now.
Exactly.
Exactly. Time for some new stuff. So.
Right. And hearing your story of how you got into it and always wanted to push some passenger vehicles, we are definitely glad that you're behind this. But it seems like we now have an outlet for vehicles. Mm-hmm. More modern or late vehicles to come through, so that's good. Mike is asking box trailers 40 to 45 foot, we seem to be missing that in the marketplace. You guys have any plans for that you know of?
Well, we've started out with the three trailers. We've announced the three Fruhofs. So they're kind of a late 50s through early 70s prototype. We've got three different versions of those trailers we're doing. That's our first trailer that we've kind of designed. We do want to do some more, probably before too long. We'll probably have some other trailers that we're going to look at doing, maybe even this year. So that's definitely a possibility. And if the first releases, like the ones we just announced, if they do really well, there's definitely going to be some more, especially some of the US prototypes, maybe even some Canadian ones too, that we're going to look at doing.
Nice. Well, there you go, Mike. John's asking a very specific question.
Sure.
GM Fishbowl Suburban buses, 35-foot Fishbowl and further North American bus line. You know anything about those?
Suburbans, the GM Suburbans, definitely a possibility for those. It's actually not too far off from what we've already got. We've got the 40-foot Fishbowl. We got a new release actually that just landed in the warehouse last week.
Oh, nice.
And those are shipping out later this week, early next week. And we've done a ton of different versions. We've got kind of a standard 40-footer. We've got the air conditioned new looks. We've got different bats, like the Batwing Busorama signs on the sides. The Suburbans are definitely something we want to do in the next release. We'll need a new interior because the interiors we have are kind of the standard transit interior, but maybe we'll do it because we've already done the double stream, we've done the single stream, and we're going to look at doing the Suburbans without that kind of rear door. So definitely something.
Nice.
Maybe not 35 footers, but a 40-footer probably.
Well, there you go, John. There's your answer. And then there's Jeff asking about 1980s to 90s era Thomas school buses.
I used to ride those.
I think we all used to ride those at one point.
35 years ago or 30 years ago, whatever it was. We've actually, one of the guys and I, we were talking about doing some kind of school bus one day. So that's definitely something we'd like to do as well. Expand the bus line. So.
Well, there you go, Jeff. Let's see. Question about making. Just ask. Well, I guess you kind of expanded on this earlier, but they're asking, how do you choose the vehicles that you're putting in production, and what are you doing next? You pretty much said that. Personal preference, filling the market needs, sometime era. I guess besides your, you said it was your boss's layout that you kind of went off of at 80s?
Kind of. That helped get the project going, but personally, I actually really, I'm a bit strange. I really like kind of older American cars. You don't see a lot of that these days. You see a lot of people talking about all the, like there's a big market, even in kind of full size vehicles. See, there's a lot of kind of Japanese groups and stuff like that.
Right.
European groups, but you don't hear a lot about older North American stuff, like the old GMs, the full frame cars in the 70s and 80s. And they're not, and you see them, even the prices. You can get some old Reeses in reasonable shape for like $4,000 or $5,000. It's just not that market. So that I've always kind of had a real interest in that kind of thing.
Probably because they're still it's before the flex fuel in new vehicles and they're gas guzzlers.
Exactly. Well, I've got a Crown Victoria, but I was
nice.
A P7V, a former OPP cruiser. But it was one of the last ones built. It rolled off the line in 2011, and it was just late enough that it's actually flex fuel, which is really nice. So,
oh, nice. That's cool.
I think they only just made it. The last two model years or something like that before they were discontinued.
That's awesome. Second question. How do you guys determine the quality of vehicles that you need to have? The quantity of vehicles that you need to have?
Well, we're actually kind of taking a shot in the dark with the first round of Caprices. So what we're doing is we've actually set up an order deadline coming up next week on the 15th, but we're making lots of inventory. So we'll make, I don't know the exact numbers, but we're going to make a certain number of each paint scheme on each car. And then we're going to actually carry stock. So we'll make lots of them. We're not expecting them to sell it. Like a lot of our train stuff, locomotives, freight cars, we make them to order. We close the order deadline. We send the order to the factory. They make it exactly what we ask them to make. But with the cars, we're kind of, because they're more of a volume item, we're going to make tons of them, and then just see how that first run does, and then we'll kind of gauge that for the next run of cars. We're gonna be able to do different, like we've got so many paint schemes we can do, different
Yeah,
colors.
there are definitely a lot of things you can do.
Oh yeah.
There's an endless supply of thoughts and
Exactly.
ideas.
And that's one of the things. Just kind of going off a tangent here, we're looking at doing is we want to license police agencies. We haven't really looked at it too much yet. We've got a couple of contacts, but I mean, there's so much we can do. I figure we could do a release of even just the Caprice and the Impala. We could probably do a release every year, next 5 or 10 years, and never run out.
Right,
So that's
right.
yeah. So that's why I envision this being a whole line of cars. We'll have a dozen or more vehicles potentially, and just rotate through different schemes all the time.
That'd be awesome.
Mhm.
I would like that. I know that.
Mhm.
I mean, if it could prevent me from having to paint something, that'd be cool.
Oh,
If you guys just paint it and all I had to do is buy it, that'd be awesome.
yeah.
We have another question. Perry, you kind of remarked on it earlier. 80s Ford F700 series, Chevys and GMCs.
Mhm.
Well, he said, hold on, he said 80s Fords F700s, and then he said, how about GMCs and Chevy C60s? He said those are nice. You guys plan on? I mean, like you said, you kind of explained your
Mhm.
process earlier on what you're choosing. It sounds like that could be in the market soon or later, but it probably just depends on.
Oh yeah, everything's on the table. Like any kind of, if especially if we can kind of sell it to the boss, if we can see that there's a market for something, it's anything is possible. So we can do trucks, we can do cars, small vehicles, large vehicles. Um, we've actually seen that, especially with the bus. I think we've got 3 different tooled versions of the bus now. And I mean, we thought we might get 1 or 2 releases. We're on our 3rd release. And I mean, it's even in the price point that it's at, we actually sold out of them before they even arrived. So that's done really well for us.
That's cool. Paul is asking this more on the train side, I guess. He's asking, do you guys know if anybody is planning on buying Turnline trains, MP36 models or molds? MP36 molds?
I don't know. I don't know if that's something that Atlas bought a lot of the Truline tooling up. We're not looking at purchasing any of that tooling from they're pretty much gone now.
Right.
I believe a lot of that tooling. I don't know about the MP36, but a lot of the other tooling from Truline has gone to Atlas in the last few months. And they've announced a few things already.
Nice. Fritz, I think his name is, asking about like accessory parts for vehicles like light bars or just like I guess just accessories, tires, light bars.
Oh, sure. Actually, I think I've got something I can show you here. I don't know if I can share it on the screen or not. I can find it here. Because we're actually doing a light bar pack to go with the Caprice and the Impala. Oh, can you see that there?
Yep, we see it now.
Yep. So that is, we're actually selling this separately. Every package is going to come with well, we've got the top light bar there. That's from Dominion Automotive. It was very common here in Ontario, especially in Ontario and different parts of Canada in the 70s and 80s. We've got the Federal Aerodynamic, and we've got, I think this is Code 3 LP 6000, as I recall. But we've also tooled separate spotlights and the push bar, and that is going to be a separate package. So you can kind of choose what you want, and you're going to get different lenses, blue or red lenses. I think there's going to be some clear lenses in there as well. So that's
nice.
That's going to be coming with this new production run. We haven't decided if we are going to do separate wheels yet. We've definitely considered that. I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing, but I'm going to be looking into that. I can even, I don't know if I've got some of the other close up of some of the wheels here. I'll show you the Caprice Estate really quickly. That's actually, this is a bit of a close up, so it looks a little bit muddled, but that's
it looks good though.
That's the wire wheel with the Whitewell tires, and that is a rubber tire. So we'll definitely look at doing those as a separate part. We've actually tooled a couple of different wheel options. We've done that. Let me see if I can get the other ones here. There's the dog dishes on the Impalas, and then I think I've got a close up. That's a side-on shot. That's kind of a different hubcap. It's like a flat, more of a flat hubcap, and there was also an option on the Caprices. While I have this up here, I'm going to make a little disclaimer. The factory put the pinstriping in the wrong place. That's actually supposed to be down here, and it's not supposed to extend over the fender line. So that's actually, in case anyone's looking at that, that is not correct, and it will be fixed. But of course, pre-production, so that allows us to fix things up before they actually go into production for the final models.
Right, fine-tooth everything and make sure it gets done right. Yeah.
We've actually tooled up another wheel that we haven't announced yet. We've tooled up a Bear Steely. So that's for something else we're working on related to this project. So.
Nice. Well, all I suggest, it's because I hate these kind of cars, but I mean, do it if you guys so choose to, but don't make like a 26-inch wheel for that car.
No, definitely. That's the only one you see on the road these days. So.
Yeah. And I live in the side of this country where those things are very popular. Yep. And I can't stand them to save my life.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah, the cars themselves were pretty. There wasn't anything special about them necessarily, but they were just so common that
they were good for cop cars. I mean,
exactly,
that's what cop cars were in the 80s.
Yep.
They didn't really. I mean, in the 70s, they were like Dodge Polarises and whatnot that you see in like Blues Brothers, and then they went to those Impalas because they were the biggest car on the road at the time.
Yep. That was after the downsizing in 77.
Ricky is asking, would you consider or planning on non-international semi-trucks such as, I can't even pronounce this, like livestock trucks and etc., non-international semi-trucks or semi-trailers, sorry.
Like a cattle truck or something like a stock truck or stock trailer?
That's pretty much what he's asking.
Not right at the moment, but it's something we'll definitely keep in mind. I know there's not a lot available on the market. I know Lone Star did a kind of a more modern version years ago, but it's definitely another area where there's room for some new stuff. So it's very possible.
Well, Richard is asking, pretty much you kind of talked about it earlier about cars being readily available from the 50s and 60s, but that's the exact question he's asking. Do you guys plan on making cars from that time period in the future as well? Or just stick with what's out there? It's already saturated the market. We're good on that point.
We're definitely open to doing that. I think to start, we're going to kind of focus on the 70s and 80s, maybe 90s as well, just because that has been very overlooked. But there of course is room for more 50s, maybe 50s and 60s vehicles. So it's definitely something that we're not going to take that off the table.
Well, here's another question about sort of 1980s through present. Mm-hmm. Any trucks and or track cranes with a lattice boom? You guys planning on doing any cranes with lattice booms or trucks from 80s to present?
Not right now necessarily. It's not really an area of the market I know too well myself. But
me neither.
Yeah, it's. I know Herpa has done a lot of like cranes and stuff like that. But again, that's all European stuff mostly. Never say never, but I mean, it's not really an area that I'm too familiar with myself.
Yeah, me neither. Let's see. Tony's asking, what partner? I'm bad with spelling stuff, as you can, or reading stuff. hold on. What guides there? Oh, what kind of guides their selection process of customer suggestion prototypes for 187? Do you guys take suggestions or look at what's, I guess you said that too. You kind of look at what the demand is for
Yeah.
the market.
Well, it's kind of two parts. We kind of we have things that we want ourselves as kind of, because we're modelers too. We're modelers and collectors, so there's things that we want either for our layouts or for our collections. But we also take kind of suggestions for anything. We actually launched a new web form 2 or 3 months ago, so you can go on our website and actually fill out the form about what you want, and it goes into our database. So we actually, everything is calculated. So if we get, like, we might get, like, we get people asking for obscure locomotives from the 1920s, and then we get, but we also look at stuff like, we might get dozens of requests for a specific vehicle or a specific passenger car or locomotive or something like that, and that all goes into the database, and it all gets kind of calculated and put on charts and stuff like that to see where people are really demanding for stuff. And we have actually, since we launched the new suggestion form, I think we've received something like 2,000 requests.
Wow.
Just for
awesome.
these new products. So it's neat.
I'm gonna put that question link in the description so you can get 2,000 more. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these questions are being kind of answered as we go. To be very specific on certain questions that you kind of roll over in the general answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many more questions I really have, because they're kind of already being answered by just explaining how you guys are already doing stuff.
I can give an overview of kind of how we've developed like this project in general, or at least our first car project. Just kind of as an overview. So we actually started looking at this, it's been over a year now. Probably the beginning of, probably pre-COVID, I started asking the boss. I was trying to get him to do a car line, because we'd done so well with the bus. And he was really reluctant for a while, and then realized that he was putting on his layout all these cars that weren't right from the right era, or some of them weren't the right scale necessarily. So we kind of really pushed for that, and we had that contact at GM. So we started kind of that negotiation process. It's actually quite involved, signing contracts and signing agreements and
oh, I'm sure.
Like we have to have like insurance and stuff like that, for various liability reasons. So that actually went on for quite a while, probably for 3 or 4 months of just going back and forth. And then we actually got into designing the project. So we actually found a factory that specifically builds car models. So I think what we did was we sent some partially photos and partially, I can't remember how we did it, maybe some basic design work, and kind of sent it over to them. They start designing the 2D and then the 3D drawings. And then after that, it was a lot of back and forth, just for probably another 3 or 4 months, just tweaking the design, updating things. We actually added a lot of features. So originally we were just announcing the wagons and the sedan. We weren't doing police cars. We weren't doing taxis. It was just basic 2 bodies. And we actually ended up tooling a whole bunch of different grille options. I think we've tooled 4 different grills. And that's all stuff that we added on, and that was during that process. And then we got that done. They sent us some 3D printed samples, probably around December, January. We proved that. Then they start tooling. And tooling is probably about 75, 80 days to get all the parts. So we're kind of at the point right now where they provided us with those kind of decorated samples. We still have a little ways to go because some of the colors aren't quite right, some of the decoration isn't quite right, and the fit and finish needs some improvement. The windows need to be polished and various other things. But we've kind of gotten to that point now where we're almost ready to begin production, and we can probably get these toward the end of the year. So it's a long process. It takes about 18 months, but now that we've kind of figured that out, that will make it so much easier to deal with the next projects when they come.
Right. And maybe they'll even go a little bit quicker now that you know the process.
Exactly. So we're hoping to flip the next 2 vehicles and maybe get them hard to say if we're going to get them announced this year. We have two in the works, two more that are not GM vehicles.
Nice.
Maybe the end of the year. Fingers crossed if everything works out with the licensing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that this is all hearsay from what I've been told from people that know the person that's in control of that business. But River Point Station, those Ford pickup trucks,
Oh, yeah.
I heard that they didn't get the license right for the Chevy trucks from GM, so they just got stuck with the Fords, and they couldn't make the Chevys because of
they make some. They've had some beautiful vehicles. All the
right. I kind of see why possibly that Chevy or GM didn't go with it. Is, you can take a River Point Station truck apart, and it has probably 40 pieces that pull it all together, and they probably, and I'm thinking from a business standpoint, all those little pieces that the little kid is playing with could just break off, and if they eat it or whatever, it'd be on them that their product fell apart. But if you're building like solid castings of a body where the mirrors are all attached and the windows are all one piece stuck inside, and if everything is, and I say toy-like, it's built stronger and more durable to.
Well, that's the thing with our vehicles.
Play with it.
There's actually a ton of detail parts in these. So they are an injection molded plastic body, but the mirrors are separate pieces. The interior, the steering wheel is a separate piece. The headlight lenses are actually separate pieces that fit into the grille, and the grille itself is a separate piece. So there's actually probably about a dozen different parts that just go into one vehicle. All the light bars are separate lenses. But the one thing I will say is we went through the whole licensing process, and it worked out quite well. We haven't had any issues with them being concerned about small parts or anything like that. So that's
right.
It actually went a little.
That's awesome.
Smoother than I expected. So.
Yeah, maybe you guys doing all that sort of broke the door open into possibly letting other companies try and do their spin on cars too.
Mm-hmm.
That's neat to know. I did not know that, considering obviously I don't have any of your products in front of me to play with or test out or whatever. I honestly, I didn't know they were made in the description of you just saying it. I thought it was like a die-cast toy.
A little more intricate than that. Well, I'll see if I can show you some of our buses, anyways, just as a comparison. Let me see if I can pull one up here.
Because like you have like the photos that were showing up on the internet of your vehicles. They look like a classic Metalworks die-cast car. They're that good looking. Like, and I know Malibu makes it, and Fresh Cherries made all these die-cast cars, and they look really, really nice. And your photos of your vehicles looked that quality. That's actually where I was going with when I thought of durability. They're probably just as strong still, though.
Oh yeah, they're quite well made. This in particular, this is our Kansas City Metro fishbowl, but all of this stuff is separate parts. So the mirrors are separately added. Got the headlight lenses. We actually tooled up 3 different bumpers, and they're actually rubber. These are real rubber.
Oh wow!
Wipers. We got the antenna on the roof. That's an option. We got the ad boards. Those are the Busoramas. All of this stuff is separately applied and just kind of assembled. Separate windshields, and it was actually a very long process because there's so much intricate detail that you need to add to these that it's very time consuming, but it does result in a very nicely built product when all is said and done. So there's.
Oh well, yeah. The more detailed parts you can add, it'll always be better.
Oh yeah.
Especially if the manufacturer adds all that stuff, and you don't have to put it on yourself and get glue everywhere.
Yeah, the other nice thing is when you're dealing with injection molding, you get so much more crisp detail, I find, than die cast necessarily. Like we couldn't get all the rivet detail necessarily that we could get in die cast that we can get in plastic. Of course, the interior, every seat is a separately applied part. We've got the stanchions on the inside of the bus. You can see the seats there with the handrails on the back of the seat. It's
Man,
all
those are crazy detailed.
Mhm. Yep.
Wow.
And these are just like I said, these are just landing right now. So these are heading out to stores probably next week. Even the fare box. So the fare box on the inside is actually a separately applied part that fits into the floor. This is
That's crazy because I will say most companies, say big companies like Rapido or the big companies,
Mhm.
I don't know that they would put that much detail in an interior that unless you purposely took it apart, you wouldn't even notice. I would think most interiors like a bus would be injection mold one piece.
And that's very common. What a lot of other buses will like. You see some of the other buses on the market, and it's like a one piece
Right.
material. But we wanted to do everything kind of separately applied, so you get that extra detail quality there. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, that totally makes a difference because I mean, just from these pictures I'm seeing, and I don't even have it in my hands to look at, it already looks better.
mhm. You got there's the air conditioner. That whole thing we've tooled up separately, so you've got different with or without the air conditioners on there. There's an
Oh, that's
option.
crazy. Wow.
But yeah, they're nice. We've got this bus, which is from a specific movie that we're not allowed to talk about that movie, but we made these, so you may recognize
I'm a I'm
the
a huge
bus.
movie guy, but what year is that bus? Like
The
60s,
bus
70s?
itself, oh, I would say 70s, probably 70s. So there's a specific movie about a bus that couldn't go below 50 back in '94, and
Yeah.
we've done that bus. So
I ain't gonna lie, I thought that was a different color bus.
this is a little bit
But if
different.
that
This is actually it was a one-off for the for the movie. This for Speed.
you just said it. You just said you weren't gonna say
But
it.
we'll just hope that nobody's listening. But
Right. We'll bleep that part out.
yeah.
That's awesome, actually, because there are very little buses in the world that are famous
Mm-hmm.
for any reason. I mean, you got the bus from Harry Potter. It's probably the most famous bus. And
Yep.
then this bus, everybody's seen this movie at least once, or
Yeah.
most people have seen it, and they don't even probably recognize it when they
Mhm.
see it. But for the few people that really know, they'll recognize that, and that'll be awesome.
For sure.
'Cause I'm a huge movie guy. I
We
love movie
actually
vehicles.
we even did the two-tone seats. So if you actually kind of see it there, you've got the yellow and the blue two-tone seat backs on the
Now
inside.
you just need Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock sitting right up front there.
Exactly. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that you showed that because I was gonna, if you didn't have anything to show, I was gonna put like a little slideshow of what vehicles you do already have
No, I got
behind
lots
this
more I can show
interview.
you if you want. So we got
Show it all. I know my viewers and my fans all love the vehicles for this scale hobby, and
let me
we would love to see everything.
I'll go back to the cars for a minute. And we can go through that. These are all pre-production vehicles. These are not production ready. These are mock-ups that they built for us. But there's the lineup. These are the Caprices and the Impalas. So you've got the kind of that dark red Caprice sedan and the wagon. Couple things to note: the windows are very foggy. They haven't polished those windows up, so they will be clear. There's some other things. The blue on the wagon is the wrong color. That's way too light. It's going to be more of a, if you actually know some of the GM colors from the early 80s, it's more of a slightly dark blue gray color that we're going to be changing that to. And a couple other small things. We've got to clean up the tooling a bit on the grills. Because we've actually done different grills. If you look at this is the Caprice grill. So it's kind of got a mesh pattern almost. Whereas the Impalas have a different design with it's very tiny, but it's got the Chevy bow tie right dead center in the grill there.
Nice.
But we've got you can see the three of the different wheel options. We've got the dog dishes, we've got the wire wheels, we've got the kind of the plate hubcap. I don't know if there's an official name for that, but they're
It's
kind
just
of fun.
hubcap.
Yeah, exactly.
Hubcaps are hubcaps.
And like I
especially
mentioned
that
before,
year.
that pin for the trim stripe, the chrome pinstripe is not right, so that's not going to look like that on the production models. But keep flipping through here.
You guys plan on ever selling those prototypes at one point?
Which
Because I'm
one?
sure they'll be worth a lot of money.
Maybe. Debating if I might keep them for myself because part of my
Yeah,
own
I would
collection.
do that for a long time and just say, hey, I've got the most expensive versions of these cars that anybody will ever have.
Exactly. When we get the final parts, I might swap some parts out of them and get some of the clearer windows. They are full interiors, of course. You can't really tell because of the glazing's not right, but they do have seats and all that, full dashboards, all that stuff. So you can get some closer pictures. That's the side of the Impala there. We have done the pad printed kind of the chrome around the windows.
Yeah.
A couple of fit and finish issues here. We've got to get that kind of grill corrected a little bit, but these are zoomed in, so they're a little bit exaggerated in the way they look.
You need to paint one of those taxi versions without the light bar, like a beige brown.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to do. There's the taxi there. We're definitely going to do another release of probably another dozen colors and schemes maybe next year sometime.
Because that could literally be the car from the Sabotage video from Beastie Boys.
Yeah, we're talking about that one day. So that's actually interesting enough. Well, in the actual video, it was a Crown Victoria.
Oh, was it?
But
see,
but if you actually
they share the same body almost.
But if you actually look at the album cover for Sabotage, it's actually an '89 or a '90 Caprice, which was interesting. And that actually has the later Euro grill on it, which we've actually tooled. So we could very easily do that. I actually want to do some slick top cruisers and stuff like that, maybe for the next release. Look at the other side of the taxi.
So looking at that, is the grille and bumper and front of the hood piece all one piece?
Yeah, so the grille and the headlight assembly and the bumper, that's all one piece. So that's how we were able to kind of, without getting cost to or spending too much on unique tooling, it's kind of a module that can be swapped. So you can see that's the Impala version, and this is the Caprice version. It's a little bit of a different grille. So you can just swap that in and out. And like I said, we've tooled the later version, the kind of what they call the Euro front end, which they changed the headlight to a composite headlight as opposed to the quads. And they changed the grille around too. So we've actually tooled that. We're going to use that in a future release. So that's for the 87 through 90s.
Well, I like that roof rack.
Yeah.
I like that it's lifted above the roof.
It's a little bit. This one's a little bit funny. It's popped out of the mounting a little bit,
but I mean, it's still like it's not part of the roof like some lower end toy cars would probably be. And I like the wheels. The wheels are nice because they're not. I hate to bash this company because I love their product, but Oxford Diecast seems to put way oversized wheels on all their cars.
Oh yeah. I actually like their stuff. I've bought probably 2 or 3 dozen Oxford vehicles.
Yeah, I have a few too, and I love the tooling on the cars are perfect in my opinion. It's just those wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
They did better job on the wheels. It's like they ran out of money and just said, "Well, let's put some Hot Wheels wheels on here."
Yeah, exactly. Well, we've tried to scale that as close as possible. I'm not sure if I have any underbody photos too, but we did. In addition to the wheels, we did the full underbody, so that might not be the best.
Nice.
But we've done the full. We've got the front suspension, the floor pan, muffler, fuel tank, the whole rear differential, and everything with the drivetrain is all under there. I'm not sure if I have any other underbody shots, but.
I mean, just the fact that you guys went that far into creating detail like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we debated on what the extent of the project would be. So it did kind of expand a little bit as things went on, but it's really turned out to be quite the project. So.
I'm sure. And the detail of the window trim. I mean, most companies, big toy companies or just big companies probably just wouldn't even do that. They just they slap a paint job on there and a graphic and call it done. But you guys got the window trims in there and everything.
Yeah, so you kind of see the back seat in there a little bit. But yeah, we actually designed this, so we actually weren't happy with the original design of the windows. We had them redesign it so they're actually flush mount. So they snap into place. So the window glass is actually more flush with the outside of the body. So it snaps right in, and then they've done, you can kind of see it out there. They've actually done the chrome.
Yeah.
Kind of the chrome bits, both on the body and right on the window itself. So that funky little rear quarter.
That's even better.
Mm-hmm. So
because it's just those little details that really make the car look better than a toy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you know, for the collector, they're gonna want that because they don't have it, and for the enthusiast of that time period, they're gonna say, "You guys got it all right. You didn't miss anything." When a toy company would have missed half of everything.
Oh yeah. And there are some limitations. I mean, there was other stuff that I wanted to add on to it, but when you get to little details that are like 0.2 millimeters tall or something like that in terms of printing and labels and stuff like that, sometimes you have to leave that off. We have actually got the Chevy logo, so the Chevrolet badging on the back of the trunk. You can barely see it there, but it's on the back of the trunk. We have included that as well.
So you're telling me the interior doors don't have the push down locks? Come on, you guys didn't do that?
Not quite. That would have been nice. But...
It would have, you know, to the unsuspected person taking that car apart to detail the interior, they've been like, "Oh, that tooling wasn't very good. They left these extra pieces of plastic stuck in the doors."
Exactly. But yeah, it's a good start. I mean, we're going to see how everything turns out, but it's the beginning of a lot that we can do. So whole line all goes well.
Well, I tell you what, from what I know, and me personally, there is a lot of people that can't wait to have these out there because we're definitely missing these cars in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And now you guys are, filling that gap. So I know it's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty good for you guys. I mean, it may not explode, obviously, but you'll sell quite a few of them. And over time, they'll just keep on selling.
And that's what we've kind of thought as we do this, we're not just going to like build them to order and then you either get them or you don't. Like the buses were sold out before they even arrived. We're going to have these in stock. So if like 3 or 4 months from now, we'll probably, or even 6 months or a year from now, we might still have stock. So you don't worry about it. You can probably still get some at your local hobby store or even direct from us if all works out. So that's kind of the idea of this is we'll always have something available in stock.
Yeah, that's cool.
One other thing I was going to say is this is in terms of the light bars. I don't know if someone was asking before if we're going to do different versions. When we actually do other cars, we have a 70s car we're looking at doing. We definitely do want to do some associated light bars that haven't been done before. So that's something we're going to look at.
Nice.
Actually, that's the code 3 bar. It's kind of.
So is that the bar on top of that car? Is that kind of gonna, for the most part, be what the production looks like? Or is that the production?
These are pre-production. Okay. So this is just this is actually not this is not even a car that's kind of part of the release. It's just a mock-up. So
so are the light bars hollow on the inside of that?
There's actually 2 pegs. I'm not sure if we got a good photo of it or not.
Because I'm thinking if somebody wants to put LEDs in it or something.
You could. So the actual lenses have 2 pegs that kind of hold them in place. So they're kind of cored out to that. You might need to, I know it's a very, very tiny part, but if you have like a little drill or something like that, you could probably core them out of it and then wire some LEDs in there without too much difficulty. Instead of to core the entire bar, you are able to do that without too much trouble. And we actually,
I know a lot of people will love that then.
we thought about that right from the beginning. We thought this is something that people might want to do, and we've seen people do it in HO and 187 quite a bit. So
Yeah.
it was
And
kind
you
of,
said the headlights pop in and out, so that'll be able to also have LEDs in the
yeah.
future as well.
So yeah, these are actually separate parts. Again, this is pre-production, so it's not, the fit and finish isn't
Right.
perfect, but the entire lens has two pegs. It's a clear GPPS plastic part. It kind of just inserts right into the grill, into the headlight housings, and yeah, you can pop it out if you want to. Fit some LEDs in there. That's not too difficult at all. It's actually open right in the back, so you can probably put them right inside in the under the hood.
Yeah, wire that engine up.
Yeah, the rear headlights would be a little bit different because they are a solid piece. I'm not sure if we get a good picture of them. That's kind of the best we've got. But these are a kind of solid with the rear body. I think in retrospect we might have done that as a separate clear plastic insert. But we'll look at doing that in future models.
Well, for now, I mean, the right person that's going to put LEDs in probably knows a trick or two to get the back ones lit up too. So
for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad that you spoke on about your vehicles and you kind of broke them down in the little details that you're putting in them all in, because I know the viewers really want to know everything and anything about these vehicles, and you're giving them a lot to go on, so that's great.
No, for sure. Well, these particular cars are, I'm like, again, I'm a bit weird. I've always liked kind of full size American cars. It's not,
they're the best.
But I don't know. I've always liked this kind of thing. So this is why I really wanted to do this as my first vehicle.
Yeah. So I'm not a huge 80s guy. I'm more of like mid 60s and older, but the bigger the better.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
These fit into that bigger and better era. So,
and even in terms of 60s vehicles, again, there's just not a lot out there. North American wise, you've got a lot of 2-doors and convertibles, but
muscle cars. The muscle car era is already done. We don't need any more muscle cars. But like the regular passenger vehicles, we're missing those.
Well, Oxford started to do that. I mean, they started with they probably did a Corvair, and they did it was a '62 Cadillac or something like that.
They're still missing quite a few. But I mean, not one company has to tackle all of them. We can spread the love out.
Yeah, for sure. So, I buy them all when I get to myself. So.
Yeah. Well, I buy them just to customize them.
Yeah.
I'm a customizer at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I see a stock car and I see that's the perfect canvas to make better.
Yeah. Well, one thing, kind of without getting into too much detail, that we're looking to do. So these are fully decorated vehicles. They're sold individually, but we're looking at different options at kind of using this tooling and making a more kind of economical line for people that want to do customizing or they want to make their own. So
that'll be cool.
Different options. I know there's a lot of people that, especially in the model train world, that like actually operate auto racks. And on an auto rack, you can have 10, 15 cars.
Right.
How long these are? I mean, this is like an 18-foot long vehicle in real life, but an auto rack can fit dozens of them. So we're looking at different options for doing an economical package for people. So that's something we're probably going to be talking about a little more later this year.
Well, I wonder if I could just offer you one tidbit of advice. Maybe offer a line of them that aren't painted. Mm-hmm. That way the customer don't have to strip all that paint off and paint it themselves.
And that's the thing. A lot of the cost with doing these, it's not even necessarily the assembly, it's the painting. The painting is very expensive. But if you take a bunch of body shells and all the different parts and put them in a box, I mean, that definitely makes it more affordable for people to buy them anyway. So
and then maybe one more tidbit. Maybe make a rim that doesn't have any hubcap or anything on it. It's just a steel rim, an alloy rim. That way it looks like the bottom of the barrel, you know,
We've actually tooled a steel. We've tooled a steel rim. We haven't showed it yet, but we've
Oh,
actually.
nice. I know a lot of people be interested in that too.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
especially for those auto racks, and the auto racks, a lot of cars only came as the bare bones,
Exactly.
you
And
know.
what they would do is they put the hubcaps, they lock them in the trunk. So when they brought
Right.
to the
Because they
dealer,
get stolen.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you see auto racks, and there's no hubcaps on those cars. So
No.
that's definitely we've got that in mind. So we're
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people will be very happy to hear that.
mhm.
Because you look at every car on the market and they all have rims.
Yep.
Even if they're just a dog dish, there's still a rim on there, you know, or a
Mhm.
hubcap of some kind. So it doesn't give you that option.
Yep.
Now that's a big part of the car hobby that's missing. So it
Mhm.
sounds like you guys are going to fill that option. So that's good.
Yeah. So it might not be in the short term, but look for that sometime later this year. We've got something in the works.
And do you plan on selling wheels separately too? Like packs of like a 4 pack of wheels or
I'm
anything?
debating on
Or
it. We haven't announced it. Um, I know a lot of people are asking for that kind of thing, and so it's on my radar. I'm not sure yet though. So I've got to talk to the guys and see what they think. It wouldn't be that difficult to do anyways, just to make it.
right.
So just like how we got the emergency vehicle pack, maybe sell wheels
Yeah, yeah. Right.
and keep in mind too that the tires they're not plastic, they're rubber tires. They're separately applied rubber tires, so they actually pop off and they have full tread on them and everything. Well,
That's
not
cool.
really
And
sure.
you can,
Don't know if I have a photo of that or not, but
well, the neat thing is you can like swap the tires for different rim. You know, if you had all
absolutely.
4 cars and you
Yep.
didn't like that tire on the specific car, you can just
And we're
swap.
doing both. We're doing both, like on the Impala, it's the standard kind of black tire, and then we're doing the white wall. So you've got both options. I don't think I have a photo of the actual tread, but either way, definitely
Well, the
something.
white wall looks good
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a huge white wall fan, being that I like cars from mid 60s and below.
Yep.
And even the 80s white walls, that's about the way they look.
Yep. Yep. Well, we actually what we did was when we had the factory tool these, we sent them photos of like we actually found photos of the actual wheels, like close up photos, sent them to the
Nice.
factory and said, "Here's what it is from different angles, just to kind of give them the impression of the depth." And they did that. Actually,
That's
on these in
awesome.
particular, you can't really tell because it's so small, but they were actually able to cast the Chevy the Caprice logo into the
No
side.
way.
Yeah, it's
That's
very fun.
crazy.
So, but they actually designed that on there, so that the Caprice logo is actually the, uh, the side
That's awesome
of the wheel.
for you detailed people out there.
Mhm.
Man, Rapido's got it going on. And what's cool is this particular rim, because you can see the full outline of the rim, it
Mhm.
looks like a 15-inch rim that would have been on a full-size Chevy.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I'm not sure if it was a 14 or 15, which 15 at the
Well,
time.
this car would have been a 15,
Yeah, I
but
think so.
you could
Yeah.
have got like a lower end model and it may have come with a 14, but
Mhm.
probably not. But that's what's great. It doesn't look oversized. It doesn't look undersized. It looks just perfect on that
Mhm.
wagon.
Absolutely. And no, it's I'm really happy with it. I mean, again, there's some kind of fit and finish issues that will be upgraded, but I'm happy the way they look. I mean, you can even see you've got the frame rail because that's how they were on the prototype. You've got the frame rail. You can actually see kind of the side profile of it, how it comes just a little bit below the body line. So,
That's crazy. Yeah, that is how they came to.
mm-hmm.
Wow. You guys did a good job
Oh,
telling me. As a car enthusiast and a model car guy, this is a very nice model just for the prototype. So I can't imagine how well the production model is going to look.
well, they're definitely going to be a bit nicer than this. So we'll definitely see a number of revisions and refinements before we get the production ones in, and that will be probably towards the end of this year we get that shipment. So
Nice. And for the viewers, I know they can go to your website, but if they don't go to your website as they're watching this, do you have a price range yet on these or
yeah, so
not?
we've got an MSRP. So in the US, they're $24.95 US or $29.95 Canadian. we do sell them direct over our website, but pretty much any hobby store, model train store that sells our product will have them. And a lot of stores do offer some pretty good discounts. So, I mean, you see a lot of them at maybe some stores offer pre-order discounts of 10, 15, 20% off. So you just kind of got to poke around a bit to find a store with a good deal, and you can probably get them and retail on that.
That's not bad. That's pretty decent for a nice model like this that is built and painted and put together from the factory, and you don't have to do nothing to it if you don't need to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And also getting back to the buses. So the buses are, I believe they're about 60, 70 bucks, but we've got two versions. We've got the lower end version, which is basically the same bus, but we've got with or without lights. So we actually offer tail lights, headlights, destination sign light, and a full interior light on the deluxe version. So I think they're about $70, $75 for that version. Just off
like actual working lights?
Oh yeah, yeah, they work.
Holy.
So let me see if I can flip back. I don't know if I got
that's even better, because you can have a LED company put those in for you if you don't know how, and it'll cost you just that much for them to do the work.
Yeah. So
and then you still have to buy the model, so you can get both for the same price.
Exactly. So can you see the buses there, or do I still have the car on the screen?
You still have the wagon up.
Okay, let me
at least on my screen.
I'll put the bus back on for a sec. So with the bus, put back and forth here. So we've got the headlights. Got the headlights on either side there. We've got the tail light. I don't have a photo of it with that actually on, but we've got the red rear tail lights. Those operate, and we've got an interior light. The full length of the bus has LED lighting. So how we've actually powered it. So we've got wires that go to you can't see it here, but there's two wires that lead to the underside of the bus. They go to the bottom of the packaging. But in the bus, you've got all the handrail stanchions. So the standees, if you're standing on the bus, you hold onto the pole. That is actually part of the wiring. So they go up to the circuit board. There's a circuit board in the ceiling, and the handrail stanchions are actually the power leads to the circuit board.
Oh, gee whiz.
Yeah. So fully lit bus. We've pretty much done everything but turn signals on these ones.
Well, I mean, unless you make it an RC car, you don't really need turn signals.
Oh, exactly. But we've actually seen people turn these into kind of a powered vehicle. The front, not on the cars, but on the buses, we've done a full operating steering system. So it's a positionable steering rack. So you can
it's worth every bit of that money you're asking for.
Right.
That's crazy.
So there's guys that actually power these. They'll put a little motor in them, and you can actually power the bus. I mean, it's take a little bit of work to figure that out, but you can do that.
Right. That is. I mean, I know that's like the next thing in this hobby is to get everything, vehicle-wise motorized, so it's all moving at some point. But I mean, the fact that you guys went ahead and thought about that ahead of time, so they can make it a little easier on the person converting it.
Yep,
that's pretty cool.
This is actually the Chicago Transit Authority bus. Keep in mind, this bus is it looks very neon. This is not how it looks in person. The camera does not know how to replicate this kind of green, so it looks neon, but it's not actually neon. But this is a really neat paint scheme, though, if anyone's from Chicago back in the 70s. But yeah, that's the buses. So, we kind of went off on a tangent there for a little bit.
No, that's fine. I mean, my viewers are vehicle guys. I mean, we're train guys, but mostly we're vehicle guys. So, I mean, anything, truck, bus, car, bike, motorcycle related. I mean, we're into that mostly on this podcast. So that's great.
Also, that's looking awesome, at this, we've actually got two different versions, even just of the rear engine hatch. This is actually a different version than the one I showed you a couple minutes ago. This actually has the dual rear reds. But we did the single rear tail lights as well. There's lots of different versions, even different exhausts. So this has the later 70s exhaust, the exhaust ports. But if you look at some of the earlier buses, you don't have that feature. This is Ottawa, OC Transpo. I don't know if I've got any of the newer ones. That's Muni if you're San Francisco. Yeah, so this is an older version of the bus, and it has the older style of exhaust. So that just was a glass panel in the back of the window there. Later, they actually had the exhaust coming up through the back of the bus, and that we've done both versions of that.
Yeah, because that black smoke going in the passenger vehicle's windows.
Exactly. So that was a design change, I think, in the mid 70s there when that became a concern. So.
Wow, you guys really went all out on the designing of, the prototypical look of these buses. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been a fun project. So, and of course, we own one of these as well. So we actually own a real fishbowl bus.
Wow.
We actually.
Well, that's where you got all your detailed
exactly.
information from. So were you part of this project too, or just the passenger vehicles?
Actually, the other guys, mostly Jason and Josh. Jason always wanted to do buses, and we one of my coworkers, Josh Vandercheck, he was actually a bus driver for the TTC. And here in Toronto, we actually ran these buses until 2010 or 11. And he drove these.
Wow.
When they were still in service. I mean, by that point, they were 30 years old almost.
Right.
But, they kept rebuilding them. But Josh did a lot of the design work. Also, Dan Darnell, one of our other guys, they really moved this project forward back in 2016, 2017. So I won't take credit for any of the work on this project, but they did a really, really good job getting this put together. And this is our third release. I think we've done about 30 or 40 different paint schemes with different doors, different door options, different bumpers, all kinds of things now.
Jeez. So for the viewer watching this, do you sell accessory parts for these buses too to make them differently than you can buy it? Like say the train store only has this one version of it, but they have accessory packs. Do you guys make those or not really?
We do some accessory packs. We make a lighting kit, which can be purchased separately. We've got a separate detail part pack, so the wheels, the steering system and the wheels can be bought as a separate package. I don't know if we did a new run of them in this release, but we did them in the second run, I think a year and a half ago, we did all that separate stuff, as well as the bumpers. So we actually tooled 3 different bumpers. There's a steel bumper, and there's 2 different rubber bumpers, the Firestone bumper that's on this one, plus a water jet bumper. We tooled all 3 of those, and those are available in a separate package as well, if for anyone that wants to have those separately.
I'll tell you what, and you said the bumpers are really real rubber?
Yep. So on this one,
that's amazing.
Let's see if we get another photo. This is actually a real rubber casting. On the rear, that's plastic, but that represents the steel bumper that they would have had.
Right.
Depending on the year, I mean, GM changed the bumpers in the 70s. The rubber bumper was a little more forgiving if you bumped into something. So that's when they changed that. But
they cared back then. Once you got in the 80s, they were like, if you're in our way, oh well, that's your fault.
Exactly.
That's impressive that you guys put all that detail in those buses. I mean, to put real rubber bumpers on a bus in this scale, you would think that's just overdone. But I mean, it's awesome that you do it, because I don't think anybody else is doing that.
No, I mean, there's other companies doing buses out there, but we wanted to go that extra mile with the amount of detail and the quality of detail that we put into them.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm not really a bus guy at all, but I appreciate that you went and put all that detail in it. I'll probably never buy one of those buses. I'm just not a bus guy, but I love the fact that you put all that detail in them. But that's a sign of a real company that appreciates the customer and their product.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. We really wanted to put as much detail as we could into these.
I love that bus.
Yeah, this is New York.
So cool looking.
This is New York MTA. We've done 2 versions. So that's the Batwing ad boards. So if you look at New York buses, and a lot of buses in the 70s, they had these giant, they were called the busoramas. They just had ads all across them. So
Yeah.
seeing a lot of people are getting decals for cigarette companies and Coca-Cola and stuff like that. You can put anything you want on there.
Right.
They have
That's so
advertising
cool.
front to back. So that's New York. That's the blue, later blue scheme. But this is what really got us into the vehicles. This is where we started, and then we've moved on from there. The cars were the next logical step, and it's one thing's led to the other. So
Well, I'll tell you what, me and all my viewers truly appreciate that you guys did go into the automobile or the passenger vehicle side of this hobby.
Well, thank you.
Because we're definitely needing those cars, and we can't wait to see more of your products when they come out. And like I said, I will have that link to the suggestion box in the description so we can all put our suggestions in there and hope and sometime in the future see it in real life.
For sure. Yeah, just if you go to our website, I believe if you click on somewhere on the front page, maybe under contact, and there's a link there. I'll send it to you anyways, and it's a link to our products.
Oh, nice.
And then just submit whatever you like there. We look at everything. So.
That's great, because I have suggestions. I know plenty of other people do help. That the people that suggested these questions to ask, I know they'll put their suggestions in too. So that's awesome.
For sure.
That is truly great. I guess outside of the vehicle world, can you speak on any other products, trains or scenery or accessories or anything that you guys might be doing in the future?
We actually have
that you could say.
Stuff. We have a lot of stuff. We actually have a newsletter going out on Thursday where we're announcing, in HO scale, we're announcing 3 new products on this coming Thursday or Friday, and we're announcing another N scale product. I can't say what they are, but they're some interesting stuff. And we've had so much, pretty much every month now we're launching 3 or 4 new projects.
Wow.
They look like a locomotive, a freight car, a passenger car, a vehicle, a truck, anything, but all kinds of stuff on the way. So
that's awesome. In
particular, we've got a lot of stuff coming this summer. It's going to be really exciting for modelers, and not just for one era. I mean, if you model the 50s, the 70s, the 2000s, we've got a little bit of everything for everyone.
That's great. That's awesome to hear. Well, I think that's all that I got. You explained in great detail the vehicles that you guys have, which I was eventually going to get there, but you were able to push that further and faster. So I appreciate that.
It's my pleasure. I actually, I've been excited about this just for my own reasons. I just love cars, so it's
and I'm glad that we talked to you too, because I could have easily maybe talked to somebody that just knows the product but knows nothing else. So, oh yeah, these are our cars that we're coming out with later this year, and then we start asking details, and like, oh, I should have got somebody else. Darn it.
They'll want to talk about steam locomotives or something like that.
Right. Yeah, so I'm very happy that you did this podcast. I appreciate it so much. Anything you want to plug while you're on here?
Well, I'll just give a quick plug for the cars, the Chevys, the Impalas and the Caprices. We are doing an order deadline this next, I think it's next Monday, the 15th, whatever June 15th is. It's kind of it's an official order deadline. It's quite possible to still be able to order after that. We're gonna be making tons of stock, but we're just reminding people, if you want to make sure you do get the specific cars that you want, just make sure you get your orders in. That also helps us determine how many we're going to make. So we have kind of an idea of how much we want to make, but if we get more requests and we get more orders, we might up that a little bit or change the actual quantity. So we do encourage everyone to please put your orders in.
Well, if they can't get it in time, I guess they can just wait till the local hobby shop gets it.
Absolutely. We're going to have lots of these. It's not going to be difficult to get your hands on them. It's not like we're going to make 100 of each car or something like that.
Right.
There's going to be lots of available.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, Joshua? Yeah.
Jordan.
Jordan. I knew it started with a J. Sorry.
There is a Josh. There's
Jordan,
people with J's at
I,
the
I
company.
truly appreciate you taking your time out of your day and talking to me. And I know the viewers are going to love listening to this. This is probably going to be one of the most exciting podcast episodes I've had.
Awesome.
So,
Well, I appreciate you having me on here. It's really exciting. I'm just for me, it's just getting this project kind of going and leading into future projects is for me. It's really it's a personal goal for me to do this. So yeah,
awesome. Well,
thank
we
you.
appreciate you. I'm telling you, we really do. And maybe once the product's launched and we get it in our hands, maybe I can, if you're cool with it, hit you up again and we can talk about what's
Absolutely.
physically in our hands and maybe I'll take it all apart and ask you what all these
Absolutely.
pieces are.
Oh, that would be fantastic. We've got them. They're actually going into production probably the end of this month or July. So we're gonna, if all goes well, we're gonna have them by the end of the year. Fingers
Nice.
crossed. So definitely we can have a chat and review them when they come in.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate that.
All right, awesome.
That's great. All right, well, let me end this, and if you want to stay on the line, then we'll say our goodbyes after. And
Sure.
everybody, I hope you liked this episode. I truly, 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 truly appreciated this episode happening a lot because I've been waiting for a while to get a big company like this to talk about their product, and Jordan was nice enough to be the first major company to do so. Hopefully in the future there'll be more, but we don't know. So until next episode, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you have any comments. I'll answer every one of them. Until then, we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks.
Well, that was Jordan. Once we got done with the interview, I talked to him for probably another half hour, showed him all my cars. Not all of them, I showed him a lot of my cars. And showed him my modules and my Ghostbusters car and all that stuff. He was really excited to see all that stuff. So yeah, I'm glad I did this interview. He said a lot more than I was expecting him to say. He gave great detailed information about his cars and his buses. And I couldn't ask for a better person to talk to from that company. And to find out he was the one to push these vehicles to production. He was the perfect person to talk to. So I'm very happy that I got to talk to him. And I think I said in the interview, once we get these cars in hand, once they're out for the public to buy and whatnot, I'll contact them again and we'll do another episode, like a part 2 of this one. And I'll take it all apart. I'll check out the whole car and we'll just talk about everything about these cars again. Kind of like a product review at the same time as having the person that was behind it all there as like a co-host of the product review kind of thing. But yeah, I was blown away with the information he gave about the product he was doing. So I couldn't be happier. And the production, when you order it, he says they're going to put an order in on Monday. Well, that's already going to be way in the past by the time this airs. So I guess you'll miss out on that, but sorry. But just look out at your hobby stores because they'll be out there. But yeah, anyways, I hope I answered or asked all the questions. A lot of your questions that you guys posted for me to ask, they weren't repetitive. They were kind of already explained as he was telling you about another question, about how they're looking to do stuff in the future, how they get their production and approvals going and all that stuff, how they look at other products to or other designs or other vehicles to think about doing next and whatnot. He kind of explained that right in the beginning of the first couple of questions. So to ask each individual question again, just so he could say the same story, I kind of felt like I was already doing that, and I didn't want to keep asking, every single question you guys asked just for me to give the same answer. So I hope, and I say I hope I did your questions justice, even though me being me, I am not the greatest person to read stuff to ask questions for. But I hope I did your questions justice. And if I didn't, I'm going to be doing another episode with him again once we get the cars. So I will let you guys know when that happens. And if you guys got more questions, I'll ask them then as well. So yeah, hope you guys like it. Until next episode, don't forget to check out these ones and subscribe to this one. And we'll see you later. Bye.